So we already discussed the brutal police crackdown and Zionist crackdown on the pro-Palestine protesters on college campuses. We also discussed how Fox News described them. Hitler Youth is what Mark Levin called them. Well, now we're going to go ahead and take a look at, don't worry, it's going to be all right. Because I've been told, hey, when you look at mainstream media, you have your right-wing outlets, Fox News, Newsmax, One America News Network. You have your right-wing outlets, but it's okay because we have left-wing outlets too. Namely, CNN, MSNBC. I'm told all the time, they have a massive left-wing bias. This is what we're told. Okay. Well, we got the Hitler Youth description from Mark Levin on Fox News. Let's see how Morning Joe on MSNBC, their morning program, which goes on for roughly 17 fucking hours, which, by the way, Joe Biden apparently loves Morning Joe, watches it all the time. By the way, Joe himself is a former Republican. Okay, everybody else on the panel is supposed to be like, somewhat liberal or whatever, but this is supposed to be the lefty network. You got Chris Hayes, you got Rachel Maddow, you got all these fucking people. Okay, so here we go. They're going to discuss the protesters, and let's see how they describe them.
That's the place we've all been sitting in watching this, going, what the hell is going on? What are these universities doing? Why aren't they doing something? And I'll echo the horror that this does look like January 6th. What a terrible example for our students.
They're comparing the student protesters to January 6th. That's what they're doing. All right, first of all, let's go to the purpose of why January 6th people were there and why these pro-Palestine protesters were there. Okay. The January 6th people, very open and upfront about the fact they say the election was stolen and they want to keep Trump in power. That was the point. Disrupt the changing of the guard. Disrupt the ceremonial procedure, which would have made Joe Biden officially president. Stop Joe Biden from officially becoming president. Keep Trump in there. That's what they wanted. On the books, very open, very clear. Nobody doubts that. That's their point. We have a word for that. The word is coup. They wanted to do a coup. What do the pro-Palestine protesters want? Well, let's look. Very simply, in a very straightforward way, they want to divest financial ties with Israel. Why? Because Israel is doing an ethnic cleansing and a genocide. They've killed 42,000 Palestinians, including 38,000 civilians. They're starving all of Gaza. So they look at that and they go, I don't think our university should have financial ties with Israel. And also, let's just protest generally against the genocide going on. That's why they're there. So on the one hand, you have people trying to do a coup. And on the other hand, you have people trying to stop a genocide. It's the same, bro. Totally the same, bro. The purpose is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. By the way, now let's have that other conversation. Forget the purpose. Let's talk about the tactics that have been used. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the tactics. So put aside completely the purpose of why they're doing what they're doing. Let's just go right to the tactics. What's the worst case you can make against the pro-Palestine students? You broke laws. How dare you? Ready? They broke a window. That's it. They broke a window. They went into what they've now renamed Hind's Hall. Hind was the 6-year-old Palestinian girl who was murdered by Israel along with her people who were trying to save her from the Red Cross. They were all murdered. They renamed a building in Columbia Hind's Hall, and they're occupying that building. By the way, copying a tactic that was used, I believe, in the anti-apartheid protests when they were trying to get divestment from apartheid South Africa. They did the same thing. They occupied the same building. Okay. So the worst law they broke is maybe they broke a window. Okay. Has there been any violence at all? No. There's only been violence on the side of the Zionists and on the side of the police. They've roughed up not only protesters, they've also roughed up philosophy professors, the head of a philosophy department. They arrested hundreds and hundreds of people. It's a peaceful, nonviolent encampment. That's what it is. Compare that to what happened on January 6th. You had a lot of examples of people being genuinely violent. There's video of it. There's video of it. In the same way that now we have video of the Zionists and the cops being violent against the pro-Palestine protesters, there is video of the violence and the specific laws being broken by various people during January 6th. So on the strategy and tactics point, January 6th was more violent, broke more laws, and on the intentions front, it is fucking night and day. But what are they trying to do here? Again, it's all about just smear them. Just smear them. Say, this is like left-wing MAGA. That's the argument they're trying to make. And by the way, the real left-wing MAGA, blue MAGA, if you will, are the people cheering on and supporting the police and the Zionist thugs fighting these protesters. That's the actual blue MAGA. But they're saying, no, the pro-Palestine college kids who are standing on the right side of history, they're like MAGA. They're violent, they're irrational, they're unreasonable, they're causing trouble. And what are the universities doing about this? They already sent in the cops. What fucking more do you want them to do? Suspend people, expel people? That's on the way. I'm sure that's happened in many cases already, right? What do you want? You want the cops with the riot gear and the military gear to go in. Well, guess what? You got your wish. This happened before, by the way. They did this segment before they sent in the riot cops. You got your wish. You got your wish. This is exactly like the anti-Vietnam War protests, exactly like the anti-Iraq War protests. In 10 years, everybody can look back and say, well, obviously the protesters were right. But now, in the hysteria of the moment, everybody's sucking off the establishment and, oh, you must do something. We can't have peaceful chants on a lawn. We can't have an attempt to stop a genocide.
The question is, why do you choose to learn about the complexities of other situations around the world? But this one, you want to set up an encampment. This one, you want to scare people. This one, you want to come to the edge of violence or even go to violence.
Not the
this
edge.
one,
They're
you
breaking
risk
into buildings.
your future and your education for.
Tut tut. Think about your future employment possibilities. That's what makes what they're doing so brave. They all know they're risking, future earnings potential. They don't care. They want to stand on the right side of history. And that's commendable. That is totally selfless, which is the opposite of what Bill Maher called it. He called it narcissism. He called it selfish. Narcissism and selfishness is going on your fucking HBO show, making millions and millions of dollars a year, doing one show a week, and going up there and morally preening and virtue signaling about how you're smarter than everybody else. That's selfish and narcissistic. Not being a college kid that probably makes dick in terms of income, trying to do their classes, and they decide, fuck, I might have to risk my future earning potential by going out there and taking a stand for what's right.
Obviously are missing the part where they need to see what's going on across the country with these protests, that it's now in the realm of violence, it's in the realm of hatred, whether some are peaceful or not.
It's in the realm of violence and it's in the realm of hatred. That's right. But it's the Zionists and it's the cops being violent and showing hatred. It's you guys showing hatred.
We need to watch the news and look at all the different arguments and be adults, or start learning to be adults, and set up discussions and debates across college campuses.
Being an adult, according to Mika Brzezinski, is casually and silently watch the genocide and the ethnic cleansing, and then engage in a civil battle of ideas over it. Say, sir, I'm against carpet bombing children. Are you for it? Let's have a gentlemanly debate. Oh, yes, very good, very good. Listen to these fucking scoundrels, bro. Listen to these scoundrels. This is boomer brain worms that we're listening to right now. Holy fucking shit. Is there nothing that merits this kind of a righteous response? Is there nothing? What if Israel nuked Gaza tomorrow? Would you be, you should debate whether or not they nuke all these civilians? Yes, be a gentleman, show decorum and civility. You know what the height of being uncivil and having no decorum is? Carpet bombing kids.
Colleges or universities are going to have no choice but to expel them and ruin their future, the impact they want to have on the community, society, and the world at some point. But let's then go to the hard part of this. What is the solution?
Divest from Israel and stop the genocide. That's the fucking solution, you absolute dimwit. All right, whatever. I'm done with her. We got one more. This one's Joe. This is an amazing clip. Watch this.
I'd like to think that what the students feel about the university is important enough that maybe we could bring this university to a halt and really reorder its priorities. But at the moment, it doesn't seem that this is possible at all. We may halt classes for a few days. We may even halt it for a spring. But ultimately, we don't change the foundation of this university, which is essentially an enormous business corporation.
That was a Columbia University student speaking to NBC News in 1968 about ongoing protests at the school in opposition to the Vietnam War.
I've got to say, it makes as much sense in 2024 having 18 or 19-year-old people running college campuses as it did in 1968, which is to say, doesn't make any sense at all. And you do wonder where the adults are.
So we found them. We found the two people in the country who are still defending the Vietnam War. Bill Maher and Joe Scarborough. Those are the two. What he's saying here is that anti-Vietnam War protester in 1968, she was wrong. Wow. Wow. I mean, what is there to say in response to that? That is stunning depravity. Stunning. Totally carpet bombing and destroying peasant villages in Vietnam, using napalm and Agent Orange, to poisoning a generation, killing hundreds of thousands or 1 million landless peasants in Vietnam. For what? For what? Everybody realizes now in retrospect, that was fucking crazy. Then why did we do that? That's to say we are war criminals. He's like, no, the students are wrong then. By the way, just so we're clear, on the so that was somebody talking about the Vietnam War. They were protesting the Vietnam War at the time. There were anti-apartheid protests later on. And in those instances, they did similar kinds of protests to what's going on now. And then soon thereafter, the universities did divest from apartheid South Africa. So it ended up working. But look, it all comes to naught if somebody like Joe Scarborough, he's coming out and saying flat out, no, I'm on the other side of that. I don't agree that the Vietnam War was bad. I wonder what he thinks about apartheid, right? I wonder what he thinks about apartheid. He's just like, yo, they shouldn't have run the campus then. They shouldn't have done their protest then. They shouldn't do their protest now. I assume during apartheid South Africa, shut up and go to class, right? Stunning depravity. The Liberal Network. The Liberal Network. Oh, that is adorable, isn't it? That is adorable. This is what you get. What did I tell you guys? Every time Democrats and Republicans in Washington, D.C. come together, or a very large percentage of the time when they come together, scream something in unison, all of corporate media scream something in unison, what happens? Well, we know. The Iraq War, the Patriot Act, right? Wall Street bailouts, Wall Street deregulation, and now the suppressing of pro-Palestine voices trying to save lives and divest from Israel. So when they come together and scream in unison, they're almost always dead wrong. Beware the overwhelming bipartisan consensus among these absolute immoral pricks, because this is the result. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.